From Super League to Olympic distance to age group world records to Kona. Go longer with the right fuel at the right time with SFuels.
We're gonna swim back and run in the Kona sun. We're gonna swim back and run in the Kona sun. Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody. Welcome to our 11th annual Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Huggles on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas. SFuels go longer. HOKA Let's Fly, Smart Swim Goggles, Quintanaroo, Zoot, the original triathlon brand. Of course, our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, third at the Ironman World Championship here in Kona, Hawaii, 2 times. Give it up for David McNamee from Scotland. And if you guys remember that one year David was kind enough to make porridge for us. That was so nice of you. So I thought I'd repay the favor. This is American. This is instant. This is instant porridge, buddy. I'm going to make you eat this.
Nah.
Look at yum. Yum. What do you think? Is that porridge?
Yeah, this is America. You know, I brought you some sort of, we brought a chef in to make my porridge. We had proper porridge here, and
They were wearing chef outfits?
yeah,
The whole
it was
bit?
professional.
Well, that's sort of
This
what I
is
just
like
did,
amateur,
right?
Bob.
Oh, come on,
This
dude.
is like embarrassing. It's insulting to me. I'd throw it into the ocean,
Yes.
but I'd be scared something ate it.
So, last time we had you on in St. George, and where were you at St. George? In St. George, you did what?
Ninth.
Yeah,
ninth.
ninth. You're top
Yeah,
10 there.
I think I went 8 hours and 4 minutes, which, you know, on that course is impressive.
7,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hot, but unfortunately there was 8 other guys that decided to go a little bit faster than me that day. Yeah, so hopefully there's not 8 guys in front of me this weekend, but we will see.
You see. But the thing you did in our interview, because a lot of us thought, because of 7,000 feet of climbing, with a lot of climbing and up and down on the run, that people weren't going to go under 8 hours there. And you were like, oh, no, there's going to be 7, 8 people under 8, and whoever wins is going to go, in terms of the guys, is going to go 750. And it's exactly what happened. So now you are Nostradamus. You're the guy who predicts. What do you think is going to happen here?
Let's be honest, it's Hawaii, so a lot depends on the wind. But yeah, for sure, if it's not a horrifically windy day, there'll be a new course record. There'll probably be 4 or 5 guys underneath the old run course record. And yeah, if it's like a day like 2018 and 19 where there wasn't that much wind, then somebody will go 741, 742 here.
741, 742.
It'll be a course record by 10 minutes.
You guys heard that right here. 741, 742. I love that.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
We'll see. I'm going to try.
But your training tells you that you're in the ballpark.
So I went 801 here before.
Yes.
And that was before super shoes existed.
How big a difference do they make?
I would say marathon-wise, it's like 3 or 4 minutes, and you have to think the run course record right now is Patrick Langer, and I think he wore a pair of Newton shoes. So yeah, the shoe technology has changed massively, and that alone will make you 4 minutes quicker. And then cycling, I'm stronger than when I went 801. So yeah, I see a situation where I could beat Jan's course record. I still don't know if that's good enough for the podium.
Wow. You could break Jan's record and not be on the podium.
Yeah, I think that's the standard that sort of we're in now. It's sort of, yeah, it's been 3 years, but, you know, they say 1 year is like a lifetime in sport, so 3 years is like a century almost.
Exactly. So when I look at the number of first-timers here, right, you know, Magnus Dietlef, and there's so many guys who are coming here for the first time, but they don't seem to be intimidated by the moment. They're intimidated by the course or the background or the history. When you came here for the first time, did you race a little, save a little bit? Because, gosh, I don't know what this race is going to be. This is the Mecca. This is where everybody wants to win.
Yeah, I think nowadays it's a lot different to in the past, to like even 5 or 6 years ago. I think a couple of things. I think when I came here, you didn't know exactly what the course was like. You heard descriptions of it. You'd read magazine articles.
Right.
People sort of first-hand sort of experiences. But nowadays it's a lot different. So on social media and Instagram, you can see exactly the course. You can look on people's Strava files. You can see, and this is what the guys do now. They can look exactly, okay, I know Cameron rode a 409 here, and he pushed exactly this watts. They know exactly what the course is before they even arrive, whereas I came here and I just knew about the legend of Hawaii, and I had no idea. I remember sort of going up to High V for the first time and sort of having to ask, like, where's the turnaround point? Because I had no idea. I didn't even know I'd reached High V, to be honest. So it's changed. It's changed a lot, and yeah, I think there's, as a first timer now, there's a lot less sort of unknown.
That's such a good point, because you can sit at home and say, okay, I know I'm on the Ironman course on my computer, and I know that I need to push X amount of watts if I want to do this. So you can replicate that, and then when you come here, that's no surprises.
Yeah, I think very much, yeah. You can look online now and you have everything you need to know. So I think that's changed a lot. It's maybe taken a little bit of the mystique away from for the first timers, at least. It's taken a little bit of the mystique away from the island. And yeah, for me personally, I was glad that I raced here for the first time almost 10 years ago now, and I sort of got to experience it as sort of without really knowing it, to be honest. I think it just sort of added to the whole experience. Maybe didn't help my performance, but I think it added that little bit more sort of extra touch of being special for me.
Right. Well, the first time you got third place here, how far back were you off the bike?
I think me and Patrick came off the bike together.
Yes.
I think Lionel and Sebi were 10 minutes up the road. Yeah. And I remember running along Alley Drive here with Patrick, thinking, what am I doing? We're running like 3:30 pace. But yeah, there was so much adrenaline, and I never expected to run myself into the podium. I only passed Sebi with 3 kilometers to go. But yeah, it still remains a truly sort of special and sort of overwhelming experience.
It's one thing to do something once, but when you do it again, I mean, there's a lot of pressure after you do it once. And how do things change for you, sponsorship-wise, awareness-wise, when you're on the podium here?
I think it's tough. I get asked that question a lot.
Yeah.
I think day-to-day life, things don't change much, which I think is a blessing.
Sure.
And I think no matter what you succeed in sport, your day-to-day life doesn't change much. It's just all about swimming, cycling, and running.
Right.
We had dinner with Christian and Gustav the other day, and no matter what they've succeeded in the last year, what Christian's did especially, his day-to-day life is still just swimming, cycling, and running.
Right. Obviously,
The exposure and sponsorship, it means you do some more interviews and you get to meet a lot more people, which is nice. And it maybe adds to the pressure a little bit, but honestly, as athletes ourselves, the most pressure comes from within.
From yourself.
Yeah, I think ultimately if I succeed or fail this Saturday, the biggest critic will be myself.
Is it hard? Because I know that back in the day you trained with Jan, and then you did really well, and then it's sometimes it's very difficult for people who are competing with each other, because steel sharpens steel. At the same time, when you feel somebody potentially can beat you, you don't want to train with them anymore. Does it surprise you that Christian and Gustav can continue to train together all the time, although they both want to win the same races?
I think it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I think the situation you're describing there, it's generally because the big difference between what I see in Christian and Gustav and a lot of other competitors is the situation you described. It's very much down to athletes having fear. Whereas you see Christian and Gustav, and they have no fear. They both just want to win and enjoy it.
Right.
And that's why there's not that tension between them. Because neither of them are scared of racing anyone in the world. They just think they themselves are the best. Whereas I think the situation, say, for example, me or Jan or sort of when Tim Reed and Sam Appleton, when Tim was coaching Sam and that sort of fell apart, that was a situation ruled by fear. And that's the big difference, is that the Norwegians don't have fear. And I think a lot of people are jealous of that. Honestly, it's super impressive to see. And yeah, I think that's the biggest difference, is that both Christian and Gustav, they don't have fear of anyone, including each other. They both very much think that they themselves can win this race just because they are the best athletes in the world.
So when you get third the second time, that one, it validates, right? You do it once, people are like, okay, that's cool. But when you do it again, now you're part of the hierarchy of this sport. When you go to races after that, do you feel like you're sort of the marked man, that people are going, oh, that guy was on the podium at the Ironman World Championship, I need to take him down?
I think it sort of varies depending on who else is in the race. But yeah, especially, I think sort of 2018. And it's ultimately there was, yeah, at times during races, people expect you to be the person just doing the work on the bike.
Right.
And, ultimately, yeah, why not? Yeah, it's competition at the end of the day. It's racing. And, yeah, that's part of the reason I love this. It's a big part of the reason I love this sport, is the competition.
With being back here, because you're the type of guy, the lights shine bright, you do well. You like the bigger races. Just being back here on this island 3 years away, does it make you appreciate it more?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody appreciates that little bit more, being back here. I think if you had told me in 2019 that I'd have to wait 3 years to come back to the island and sort of compete again for the podium, then yeah, I just wouldn't believe it, to be honest. I think a lot of us wouldn't. So yeah, I think that's what I've learned over the last sort of 2-3 years, is you really have to sort of enjoy being here and enjoy the experience, because ultimately when we start either this Thursday or Saturday, we don't know when we'll be back here.
It's true.
We hope it's next year, but yeah. So yeah, I think it's very much about, no matter what happens this Thursday or Saturday, I always forget there's 2 days of racing now, it's very much about enjoying the experience here, enjoying the island, respecting the island, because it's a very special place to get to come and race. And yeah, no matter what happens this Saturday, I'm obviously going to give it my best shot, and I just want to leave that race feeling positive.
Can you win here?
I think so.
There's no reason why not, right?
Yeah, I look at the start line, I think there's 8 or 10 guys that could win. There's maybe 15, 20 guys that can be in the podium. I think over the last 3 years, the level's been risen up, but it's also became even tighter at the top.
Yeah, it's very tight at the top. So if you win, will you make me some real porridge?
If I win, I'll make everybody porridge. If you want, I'll fly in a chef from Scotland to make the porridge if I win.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David McNamee.
Thank you.
Always one of our favorites.
Gonna swim back and run in the corner sun. We're gonna swim back and run in the corner sun. 'Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody.